So there's a Yalkut Shemaini on Megillus Esther, and the Yalkut Shemaini says like this: Vayislos Haman, they hung Haman ala eitz on a tree, him and his 10 children. So the Yalkut says like this: Kara Kadosh Baruch Hu la'eitzim. Hashem called out to the trees, Amar mi ro mekem sheyisla Haman alav. Who of you is worthy that Haman, which one of you should have the schus that Haman should be hung on you? That's what Hashem asked. So Ta'ena many Hayimeviyim Bikurim. Ta'ena said for me, because from the Ta'ena tree, from the figs you bring Bikurim, and the Yisrael v'nim shelu be Yisrael. Klai Yisrael was as a mashal to Ta'enim. The Geffen says from me, Geffen Mitzrayim Tasiyah. The Rimite said from me. The Esrog said from him. The Tapuach said from him. At the end it says, Ba'isa Shah at that time, Kofats Koitz. Koitz is a thorn tree, which is, we're going to speak about that.
What?
Koitz and Dardar.
Koitz is thorns. The Koitz said, everything that you created in your world, you created for your covenant. Everything in creation. All the ones beforehand, everything you said to them, all the other trees, the Ta'ena has Bikurim, the Geffen, wine, the Kiddushan, the Rimoin is the one of Shivas Aminim. Every Esrig is you use on Rosh Hashanah, on Sukkot. All the trees that said till now they want Haman to hang from them, they all have a reason. Vani lama ani ba'alamecha. What am I? A thorn? No one enjoys thorns, so I have no use in this world. And everything you created was l'chvaydecha, to honor Hashem. So he says, Ella Yitle koitzitz ben koitzitz al hakoitz. The person, the koitzitz, the person who chopped people down, should hang on the koitz tree, and it says Yovoi min eitzel minoi. The two of the same type should meet together, and it says that Haman was hung on a koitz tree. Now, I'm not sure exactly what a koitz tree is. They're very low. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure what that means, but that's the medrash that ended up being on a koitz. And the question is, what's the significance of what type of tree is hung, and why at the end Lamaisa was it a koitz tree? So I'm going to share with you a vart, and we've spoken about this in the past, and we've said this vart also in the past. It's a very famous vart from the Bnei Yissaschar. It says like this. If you remember it, good, and if you don't remember it, it's a good chazara. He says, I'll give you a Agdama. We find a very interesting thing in the whole Maisa of Purim. The Gemara says in Megillah, Beizim and Aleph, why were Seineim Shal Yisrael ba'oisei Adar mechuyev klaya? Why was Klal Yisrael, why was the Gzeir on Klal Yisrael to get destroyed? Says the Gemara, why was the Gzeir to get destroyed? Shenena misudasai shal oisei Rasha. They had enough from the Suda of Oisei Rasha of Achashverosh. That's why they were meant to get destroyed. Whole Klal Yisrael. Now there's two things here. First of all, there were other Gzeiros in Klal Yisrael. Chanukah, there's a Gzeir on Klal Yisrael. The Gemara never asks why it happened. Only over here the Gemara asks, and the Gemara's answer is because they had enough from the Suda of Oisei Rasha. They enjoyed the Suda of Achashverosh. What's the big Avera? So they enjoyed the Suda of Achashverosh. That's such a big Avla, such a big Avera. It says there that he gave them kosher food, right? Everything was fine, everything was kosher. What was the big Avera that Klal Yisrael did that they ate?
They enjoyed it.
And it's Shenana Misudas Shasha Time. Let's read the Kela Misamidash. Doesn't say that, that's the reason why. Shenana Misudas Shasha Rasha, it says. They enjoyed the Suda from that Rasha. What's so bad of being Nana Misudas Shasha?
For the wrong reason.
Okay.
Right.
So, and not just that, we'll see later on in the Shir that the Suda of Purim is the main mitzvah that Purim revolves around. All because to be Mesakin that Aveira that they did, they were Nana Misudas Shasha Rasha. What was the big Avla that they were being Nana from Sudas Shasha Rasha? And the answer is, the Chafetz Chaim says, someone once asked the Chafetz Chaim, if I eat without my yarmulke, am I a goy? Right?
I guess no bracha also, I meant.
Bracha. If you eat without a yarmulke. Now, we know a yarmulke, you didn't wear yarmulkes, but it's not a halacha. It's a minute. It starts off the minute to cover your hair. The Maisa today, if you don't wear a yarmulke, it says something about you. That some places are matter in the workplace if you can't wear a yarmulke. But someone asked the Chafetz Chaim, if I don't wear a yarmulke when I eat, am I a goy? And his answer was, no, you're not a goy. But a goy eats without a yarmulke. Meaning, you may not be a goy, but you're acting like a goy. We're different. We're different than them, and we eat differently. The whole suda is different. I was just by Chasana this week, and a lot of dignitaries were there from
1,000 people, right?
What?
That one?
No. My brother went Chassan Liquid. And there were a lot of dignitaries there from the township, and the mayor was there, and the chief of police. You could see that when they sit down to eat, and when a guy eats, it's different than when a yid eats. It's a whole different thing.
What about in the Reform?
What?
In the Reform synagogue, they don't wear.
They don't wear yarmulkes. I'm not talking about the Reform. I'm not going there. So
the goyim drink and Jews eat.
Yeah. So we see that the Suda of Yisrael is different. The way a Yid eats, the way a Jew eats, is different than the way a Goy eats. What was the Aveira? The Aveira was Russia. They sat, they ate kosher, but they ate like Goyim. They ate like Goyim. They sat there and they ate like Goyim. Even though it's kosher, everything is fine. We don't eat like Goyim. That was the problem. Now you can ask, what's the difference? What's the difference between the way a Yid eats and the way a Goy eats? Basically the same thing. It's a very small difference. Tak is a very small difference. As they say in Israel, Edel and Akuda means a very small difference of the way a Jew eats, the way a Goy eats. We eat for Hashem, we make a bracha beforehand, we don't gobble when we eat. It's different, a little different than the way the Goyim eat. But it means a lot. The little difference means a lot. When Adam Rishon, when he ate from the Eitz Hadas, so the Eibusha punished him. What was the punishment? Koitz v'dardar tatzmiach. Says the Bnei Yissaschar. What does it mean koitz v'dardar tatzmiach? What's koitz? What's a dardar? Koitz is a thorn, and dardar is as a touch in the article a thistle. Now, I don't know what that is. I still don't know what it is. I know what a thorn is, but I don't know what a thistle is.
It's like a thorn.
It looks like a thorn. What's a dardar? Says the Bnei Yissaschar that the happened was Hashem told Adam Rishon, don't eat from the Eitz Hadas. He didn't listen. He ate from the Eitz Hadas. A Jew has to eat only when he's allowed to eat. Hashem told him, from now on, you're going to struggle your whole life with koitz v'dardar. Says the Bnei Yissaschar. What's koitz v'dardar? Dardar. Dalad reish. That's the word dardar. And what does it mean? So he says, there are two letters in the Torah that are big. There's one Dalet that's big, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. The Dalet of Echad is big. Lo yishtachaveh, the Eil Acher, don't bow down to a different God, the Eil Acher. The Reish of the Acher is big. Acher. Why is the Reish of the Acher big? And why is the Dalet of the Echad big? Says the Bnei Yissaschar, because you shouldn't mix them up. Dalet and Reish have a very small difference. If you mix them up, Chas v'Shalom, what happens? Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Acher. Terrible. Lo tishtachaveh, you should not bow down. L'el Echad. That's the Eibishter, right? If you switch around the Dalet and the Reish, you end up in a lot of trouble, right? You can't switch them. That's why the Eibishter made them big. So that's when Hashem punished Adam. He said, "Koitz v'dardar tatzmiach." Dalet Reish means Hashem told him, you're going to struggle between the Dalet and the Reish. Meaning, you're not going to know what's for Hashem, what's not for Hashem. It's not going to be clear. It's not going to be clear what's for Hashem and what's not for Hashem. Koitz, Kuf Vav Tzadik, is what? What's the gematria of Koitz? 196. 196 is the gematria of Koitz. What's the difference between Dalet and Reish? Dalet is 4, and Reish is 200.
196.
What's the difference between Dalet and Reish? 196. Koitz. So Hashem told him, Koitz v'dardar tatzmiach. Kait is the difference between the Dalet and the Reish. Your whole life, you're gonna struggle with that, and you're gonna struggle. What's for Hashem? What's not for Hashem? When I'm eating for Hashem, I'm eating for myself. It's not going to be clear. It's going to be hard to differentiate. But that's going to be your job. Till then, everything was clear. Once Adam ate from the Eitz Hadas, then Hashem told him, this is going to be your struggle. This is what the Bnei Yissaschar writes, and he goes through it. I've said a few times already that there's a teva in the world. The world has teva. Nature. There's nature in the world. Now, we also believe there's nature in the world. We don't believe Hashem gave over the world to nature. I mean, Hashem lets the world run in nature. Do certain things with a certain effect. That's nature. But we believe that nature doesn't run the world. We believe Hashem runs the world. He lets nature do its effect. But anytime Hashem wants, in a second, He could change the nature. That becomes a miracle. Right.
The nature of
But we believe, as God-fearing Jews, we believe Hashem easily could change the nature without a problem. He doesn't do it on a regular basis. But he could easily change the nature. Nature doesn't run the world. Hashem runs the world. Nature takes its course, as we call it. So, exactly what's nature when Hashem gets interfered, right? So the Chinuch writes, in the mitzvah of to make a marker around your house, he writes over there that certain people are above the nature. They work on themselves, and they're not meshubed, they're not subservient to the nature. Avraham Avinu dumped the Kivshin Eish, they didn't get burnt. Why didn't he get burnt? Because he wasn't subservient to the nature, he was above the nature.
More talks about it again.
Huh?
Put his foot on the snake, right?
Yeah. So certain people were above nature. If you're holding a certain level and you believe in it, you're above nature. So that's what the Bnei Yissaschar says we're struggling. There's a person who could be a big tzaddik. They say many stories of tzaddikim. They check their eyes when they were older and they were like young kid their eyes because they washed their eyes the whole life. That's not nature. That's above nature. That can't be explained through nature. We're struggling a whole life to make sure that what we're doing, we're not doing it for the teva. We're not doing it for our guf. We're doing it for Hashem. That's the klala that Hashem gave Adam and Rishon. Kaitz v'dada tatzmiach. Make sure the things that look like nature, the things that look regular, do it for the right reasons. Do it for Hashem. Don't do it for your guf, for your body. Don't eat because you have a taiva to eat. Of course, if Hashem made a certain taiva to eat, because if not, people wouldn't eat and they wouldn't be healthy. So Hashem put it into the teva that a person should want to eat. If a person wouldn't want to eat, then he wouldn't be able to live. But you have to know why we eat and how we eat. We eat like a yid, not like a goy. Haman, he knew what the Yidden were all about, and he wanted to make sure that the Yidden don't go ahead and are different than the goyim in the way they eat. So he made a Suda. What was the Suda? A Suda for everybody to come together, Yiddim, Goyim, everyone together to come together. Achashverosh made it, but Haman was the one who was in charge of the Suda. It says that Haman was in charge of the Suda. So Achashverosh made the Suda, and Haman went around, he was a shah mashkele, he went to make sure everyone had what to drink. Bachal Chaim. And he didn't want this difference between the Yiddim and the Goyim. So, says the Medrash in Yaakov Shmoini, where was Haman hung? Haman was hung on a koitz tree. Why on a koitz tree? Because he didn't want the Jews to have a difference. The 196, a difference between Dalet and the Reish. He wanted us to eat like Goy. That's
But he wasn't hung on a tree. They built the gallows for him.
They built the gallows, but it was I guess the gallows was from a koitz tree.
That was the tree that he built for Mordechai. That was exactly that.
Yeah, the story says that was the tree.
That was
he built one, but which one?
Said that's the tree.
That's one part of Hashem's plan.
So
the wood that he used was from a koitz tree. I guess Hashem knew when he built it.
Yeah,
it was built.
It's just you wouldn't imagine a bush being able to.
Right, as I said before, I'm not sure exactly.
It was an unusual tree.
Right, and it says it was very tall, so everybody can see it.
Yeah. So I don't. The Medrash says it was made from a koitz tree.
Yeah, he can make it wood.
Now it could be he took a piece of wood and built a big gallows out of it. But it could be that's the reason why it was a koitz tree, because to show that Haman was hung, what he tried to destroy the Yidden with was it shouldn't have a difference between the Dalet and the Reish. Hashem said, he's going to hang on the kite tree. That was a shukal avar. Now, getting to the more halacha is, so therefore, we know that on Purim, one of the most important things of the Purim is the Mishnah, is to have a Suda. Now the Suda that we have on Purim is not like a Suda that we have on Shabbos. The Gemara says in Megillah, Daf Hayim and Beis, the Gemara says that is there an Issa to do Malacha on Purim or not? Are you allowed to do Malacha? It's a Yom Tov. So the Gemara says, it says in the Megillah, Simcha o Mishta v'Yom Tov. Simcha malamed shasuna behesped. You're not allowed to have a hesped. Mishta, a suda, malamed, shasa b'tainis. You're not allowed to fast. You have to eat. V'Yom Tov malamed shasa b'asiyas malacha. Yom Tov teaches us that you're not allowed to do malacha. That's what the Gemara says. So the Gemara asked how Rabbi was allowed to do malacha on Purim, and one of the truths that the Gemara gives at the end. This is the way we paskin, is that. And Purim itself, Hesped v'tainis kabilu alayu. Klal Yisrael then accepted upon themselves not to have a hesped on Purim and to have a suda, not to fast. Malacha loy kabilu alayu. Malacha, not to do malacha, Klal Yisrael did not accept that by Purim. That means they said we accept hefsid or mishnah. What's the raya? So says the Gemara, the meikara ksiv. It says in the beginning, simcha o mishta v'yom tov. They wanted to make that Klal Yisrael should have simcha, which is no hesped. Mishta is eating, and yom tov is issa malacha. Ule b'soif, at the end, a few psukim later, if you look in the Megillah, it says, la sois oisam, to make the days of Purim what? Yemei Mishta v'simcha. Ve'ilu Yom Tov like Siv. Doesn't say they should make a Yom Tov. What does it say? You should have Mishta v'simcha, not Yom Tov. Therefore, there's no malacha, no Issa Siyas malacha. That's what the Gemara says.
So you can't work.
So you can't work. No Issa Siyas malacha. So halacha mocham shanago. They don't do malacha. Maybe you shouldn't work. But be'ikar adin, there's no Isser of doing malacha on Purim. Why? Even though they wanted to make it simcha or mishta v'yom tov, they ended up making it only mishta v'simcha and not yom tov. That's what the Gemara says. So, if you look at the Gemara, if you look in the Megillah, it's very interesting what it says there. It says, when they wanted to make yom tov in the beginning, it says, what does it say? They wanted to make simcha u'mishta v'yom tov. Simcha is tainus, is a hesped. Mishta Suda v'Yom Tov. What does it did at the end? They made a Mishta v'Simcha. They didn't make Yom Tov, but also the words are changed around. First time it says they wanted to make Simcha or Mishta v'Yom Tov, and at the end they made Mishta v'Simcha. Why did they switch around the two words? Mishta v'Simcha. So it says that B'Tzalel Zolti, it's a sefer, a Mayad, a very nice sefer. It has a beautiful word. It comes out of Lachal, it's a big difference. He says that when they wanted to make it a Yom Tov, a Suda Shabbos that we eat. Why do we eat a Suda Shabbos? Because the din you have to be b'simcha on Shabbos. Simcha on Yom Tov you have to be b'simcha. So the simcha requires you to have a mishnah. It requires you to have food to eat, to be happy. On Purim it's not that way. When they knocked away the Yom Tov, and they said that Purim is not a Yom Tov and it's Siyas Malacha, they left that the Mishteh v'Simcha means that now you have to make a Mishteh. You have to make the main thing is the Suda. Now, once you have a Suda, you have Simcha when? During the Suda. Mishteh v'Simcha. The Chiyuv is the Mishteh. When do you have the Simcha? During the Mishteh you have the Simcha. And it comes to being nafkamina about Avelis on Purim. So then Avelis on Purim or not, because if it's a din, you have to be b'simcha, you can't have Avelis. But if there's no din, then you have to be b'simcha on Purim. The din is you have to have a mishteh, which that requires simcha during the mishteh, so that you can have Avelis on Purim.
So you have to drink.
So according to this, someone goes ahead and he drinks not during the meal. He wasn't yaitzer.
Yeah.
He was not yaitzer.
That's why at nighttime there's no Indian.
Yeah. And that time is no Indian, because there's no Indian of Mishnah by night. The Mishnah was by day. So it comes that we see from over here that what's the time of Simcha on Purim? Mishnah v'Simcha. First you have to have the Mishnah, and during the Mishnah you have the Simcha. That's what the Shilas Yavit says. So if you drink beforehand, you're not Yotze. You're not Yotze in everything.
Between Simcha and Oneg, because I thought Shabbos was more like Oneg and Simcha.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's Yom Tov, not Shabbos. Okay, that's a Yom Tov. It's a Machta b'Chagecha.
Right.
So by Yom Tov, it's a Simcha the whole day. Because of that, you have to go ahead and also eat. It's part of the Simcha. But there's a Simcha the whole day. On Purim, says the Shilas Yavitz, that the Simcha is only b'shas Mishnah. During the Mishnah, you have to have the Simcha. That's what he says. There is Yayin for sure, but also because the Mishnah, what's a Mishnah? A Mishnah, Elu, Basar Yayin. The Mishnah. But if you eat Basar not during the Mishnah, it's nothing. If you eat Basar, I mean, during the day, if you drink wine during the day, not during the Simcha, not during the Mishnah, then according to this, in Ayat, it says in Allah, you should drink during the Suda. Someone who drinks not during the Suda, he's not Yotze his Simchas Purim of Yayin. It has to be during the Suda, not a whole day. And there will be another big nafkamina, which is we spoke about before already also, that there's a whole shaila about Mishloach Manos. Right? What's the, what?
Do another?
No, besides the novel. What's the mitzvah of Mishloach Manos? Why? Why do we give Mishloach Manos on Purim? So there's a question why. Most of the Paiskim are mashma that the reason why, that we see in the Rambam, the reason why you have to give Mishloach Manos on Purim is because there's a chiyuv to have a Suda. There's a chiyuv to have a Suda on Purim. And like we started off, what's the big chiyuv Suda on Purim? Because that's why the whole Purim came about. And the whole Gzeira was, Shenana Moises Suda. They were nana from the Suda of Achashverosh. What was wrong with that? Our Sudas are different. After we got rid of the Gzeira, what do? We make a Mishnah the right way. We do it the right way, the Mishnah. And that's the mitzvah of Purim, to make that Mishnah. So Mishloach Manos is a din that I have to make sure, not just that I have a Mishnah, I have to make sure other people also have Mishnah. Everyone can have a Suda. So this way most of the Rishonim learn the reason for Mishloach Manos is that I have to make sure that somebody else has a Suda besides myself. It's a din in what? It's a din in a Suda. I have a Suda, I have to make sure at least one other person also has a Suda. The Lashon HaRambam is.
Shouldn't we be giving them bread and wine?
Yeah, we'll see, we'll get that in a second. Says the Rambam, Keitzad Chayva Suda Zu. What's the chiv of the Suda of Purim? Sheyoichal Basar, V'yisakin Suda Noah, Kefir Shetimtzi Yodai. V'shoyse Yayin, Ache Yishtakir, V'yidem V'shikhrus, has to drink wine until you become shikhr. Now, V'chein, Chayiv Adam L'shloyach Shtei Manay Shal Basar, Ay Shnei Mini Tafshil, Ay Shnei Mini Eichel Mechaveiroi. Shenemar M'shloyach Manay Ishler Eyu. Then the Rambam says, V'chayiv Adam of the Chiyuvim of to give money to the Aniyim. In the mitzvah of Suda, says the Rambam, what's the Chiyuv Suda? You have to have a Suda. And part of the Chiyuv Suda is to make sure that you send somebody else also something for the Suda. Now, according to the Rambam, will come out, you have to send them something for the Suda. Something he can eat by the Suda, Shnei Manos, to eat for the Suda. Because the whole reason for Mishloach Manos is because the mitzvah Hayayim is a Suda. Not just me, I have to make sure everybody else. On Yom Tov, I have to have a Suda on Yom Tov, right? There's no din on Yom Tov that I have to make sure somebody else has a Suda. Why not? Because Yom Tov, the main thing is not the Suda. Yom Tov, like we said till now, the main thing is the Simcha. When you have Simcha, you have to have a Suda also. By Purim, like we spoke out, the main thing is the Suda. Then it leads you to Simcha. But the main thing is the Suda. Therefore, you have to make sure somebody else has a Suda. What do you have to send him? So the Rambam says, Taka, 2 types of meat, 2 portions of meat. Right? There's a what's it called again? There's a myth. So it's called I'm not sure what you want to call it, a mistake. You have to send 2 brachas. I don't know where that comes from. There's no din. You have to send 2 brachas. You have to send 2 manos. It says 2 portions. And the Ram says mefurish. You can send 2 portions of meat. You have to send 1 portion of meat and 2 portions of meat.
So it has to be different. It has to be like
that's the question. Maybe that's the question. Maybe not. The Ram doesn't say it has to be different. The Ram says you have to send 2 portions. It can be 2 portions of meat. The question is, if I'm sending 2 portions of meat, how does it become 2 portions? Maybe it's 1 portion. Because I put it separately. I made 1 here, so it's 2 portions. Who says? Maybe it's considered 1 portion. So if some people are machmir to say that you can't send 2 of the same type of meat, you send 1 meat, 1 chicken, 2 different types of meat, so that differentiates between the 2 manos. But nothing to do with the brachas.
It has to be ready to eat. It can't be raw.
So it has to be, yes, it has to be ready to eat. It has to be something you can eat for the Suda. You send something raw, it's not ready to eat for the Suda. I will get back to this soon more, the halacha. There's a famous, Manas Alevi, there's a famous tshuva that says, that some of the Acharim go with, that the main thing of Mishlayach Manas has nothing to do with the Suda. It's to make reyus between people, to make friendships between people. That's what Mishlayach Manas is all about. And there'll be a lot of differences, what the reason is. One major difference is if it's for the Suda, then it has to be ready to eat. It's not ready to eat, it's nothing. It's not called for the Suda. Another difference would be that another difference would be if you send it to him and he doesn't know where it's coming from. You send somebody, or you drop it up by his door and you forgot to put your name on it. Right? You drop the Mishloach Manas on someone's front door, it doesn't say who it came from. So if it is because you have to give people for the Suda, I gave him for the Suda, he has food for the Suda. But if it's because Reyes, there's no Reyes here, there's no idea where it came from. So then you're not Yetzer Mishloach Manas according to that shita, that has to be Reyes. From the Rambam is mashma, it's not Reyes, the Rambam is mashma, it's Suda, not just Reyes. It has to be a chiv, a Suda. Another nafkamina, there's a lot of nafkaminas between the 2 of them.
So all these like chocolates and stuff that we put in, which are milky, it couldn't possibly be used for the Suda because you're supposed to have 2 portions of meat.
Yeah.
So isn't
Well, you have 2 portions of meat. You can send the fish Suda if you want.
2 portions of fish?
Yeah.
Covers the,
You can send fish Suda if you want.
Okay.
But you can send the challah and a piece of potato kugel if you want. Right? It doesn't say it has to be meat.
Okay.
It has to be something for the Suda. But another nafkamina would be like chocolate. It's not part of the Suda. It's not a Suda.
dessert.
Or people send things that aren't edible.
Yeah.
If it's for the Suda, then you're not Yetzer Mishloach Manas with things that are not edible. It has to be something edible.
You used to send like a lot of candy.
Yeah, candy. I don't know if you Yetzer Mishloach Manas candy. If you hold,
Dessert.
it's for the Suda.
Dessert.
Dessert's not the Suda.
Fruit.
Especially those people who make a bracha on dessert, right? That for sure they can't send that from Mishloach Manas. But if you send, some people send, it's cute. They make a cute Mishloach Manas. According to the Manas Alevi, you're Yetzer, because the main thing is reyus, to make friendships, and you're making friendships. That's how you by sending them something nice, you're making friendships. But if you hold this for the Suda, you're not Yetzer. So it's kedai for every person. The Chi Mishloach Manas is one person. 2 things for a Suda for 1 person. That's the Ikar Chiyuv. It's kedai for every person to send at least 1 person something for the Suda. You want to make fancy Mishloach Manas, which is inedible, and people aren't going to touch, fine, you can do that. But at least for 1 person, you should send something for the Suda. Whether it's a challah, whether it's a piece of meat, whether it's something, even wine, whatever it is, something they can eat by the Suda. There's a lot of people send grape juice or wine. That's fine. That's 1. You need something else. You need 2 portions. But if you send something, wine and challah is perfect. That's a perfect Mishloach Manas. It's 2 things for the Suda. And then you Yetzer according to everybody. So it's kedai at least 1 Mishloach Manas to send something that's edible, that's meant for the Suda, even not candies. Candies is a big shaila if you could be Yetzer with candies, if it's part of the Suda or not.
Zonas?
Zonas is fine. Fruits could also be part of the Suda. Yeah.
But it's the same bracha. What's the difference?
Does it make a difference if it's the same bracha?
So this the idea of the Suda is a kapara.
So so the Suda, the mitzvah Suda, Mishteh, is we're doing the opposite of what we did then. Then we were nan and Misudasa Shalaisa Rasha.
The opposite will be fasting.
No, that's a mistake. That's fasting. That's what we said before. Fasting is not a kunz. Everyone can fast, not eat anything. The thing is to take the gashmis and to use it the right way. That's the koitz v'da'at tatzmiach. You don't say Koitz V'Darda Tatzmiach that, okay, I'm not going to eat anything. That's not, it's very simple, not eat anything. The thing is to do the same thing they're doing, but to do it the right way. So if you're not going to eat anything, then you're not doing the same thing they're doing, you're just fasting. So the part of the Suda is to do what they do, to have a Suda, but to make sure we do the Suda the right way. That's why you have to have a Mishnah on Purim.
I didn't catch it. Can you explain why do we assume that they had kosher food there?
Tomorrow says so.
Yeah. How they have kosher food?
It
She's making the meal and everything.
He wanted to make everything happen.
He hired a caterer.
Why can't have kosher
He hired a
in the
kosher
White House?
caterer.
Why can't
But
have
what
kosher?
would
You are
be
Babylonian.
What would he be
He wanted everybody to come.
Want everybody to be happy.
He wanted everyone to be happy.
Caterers, there were caterers there.
He had a caterer, yeah.
Chol Yisrael, Glut, whatever you want to have.
Yeah.
They did.
He had kosher wine, it says in the Gemara. Everything they wanted, everything kosher.
You want people to leave. Stick around.
So that was the shot. So what did they do wrong?
So the simcha, the Mishnah is to bring you to simcha.
It's enough to bring you to simcha. The main thing is the Mishnah.
Yeah.
By the Mishnah you have to have simcha. Mishnah with simcha. I don't know if we could say the Mishnah is to bring you to simcha. Maybe I don't know.
Because Mishnah usually achila by Yom Tov and Shabbos is inyan of einig, like to be samachta b'chagecha.
The samachta, yeah.
It's
A ruchnistic thing.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. You're right, it's a ruchnistic thing. Our gashmias is to help us for our ruchnias. I mean, what's our Suda different than the Goyish Suda? Our Sudas are not just to eat, it's to help us to become closer to Hashem. Now on Yom Tov,
you don't eat for the sake of eating.
You don't eat for the sake of
something
eating.
else.
You eat to become happy. And what did you happy about?
Food.
Right?
Food.
Oh, Randall. Starting up already. The whole thing is Derabon. The whole Purim is Derabon.
What's the answer?
The whole Purim is Derabon.
Food.
Yeah. So the whole. I forgot the marshal. I forgot the marshal. The whole. So the question if you have to make Shechiyanu, that's why in the morning you make the Shechiyanu, you have in mind the Mitzvah Sayyim, which is the Mishnah, which is the Shlach Manis, and which is the Matanis Lavyeinu. Yeah, you have to have in mind that the Shechiyanu to go on the Mitzvah Sayyim also. So the Suda that we're having is to show that our Suda is different. Yeah, it brings us to Simcha, but a Simcha by us is a ruchnistic thing. It's not a Simcha. Yeah, it's not a Simcha.
I thought Purim has to be a physical Simcha.
It's a physical simcha. You're not allowed to fast. You have to eat to bring you to simcha.
Right.
But that physical simcha doesn't stay at the physicality. The physical simcha has to bring you to a simcha of.
One more step. So, the simcha, the Einik of Shabbos, is the simcha shal mitzvah. That's the idea of Einik Shabbos, right? When you eat,
sure.
like the on Yom Tov for Shabbos.
100%.
So when you eat on Purim, the idea of engaging
Also.
in the Suda is
Also, question is what?
shal mitzvah.
Right, but question is what brought what? By Shabbos, the din simcha by itself in the whole day. The din simcha. That's a shil zayavit chiddush. On Shabbos is a din simcha. Yom Tov. Let's speak Yom Tov. Yom Tov is a din simcha. The whole day is a din simcha. Therefore,
Simcha shal mitzvah, right?
Yeah, simcha shal mitzvah. And part of simcha is you have to have a suda. You have a suda also, but there's availus is also on Yom Tov. There's a whole question about ma'arvet simcha b'simcha. If you're allowed to make a chasana on Yom Tov, you're not allowed to. Ma'arvet simcha b'simcha. By Purim, it starts the opposite. By Purim, the ikka is the suda. On Purim, you're allowed to have a chasana. Why? Because ma'arvet simcha b'simcha does not go on the whole day. B'shas the suda, you have to have simcha. It goes through all the Shilas Yavitz about all these things that there's no simcha the whole day. The simcha is only b'shas the suda. But of course, that Suda is to bring you to the real Simcha. I'm very happy that everyone's struggling with it, because that's Dardar. That's what we're talking about, you know. It's not, the Suda we're having is not just to make our stomach full and that's done. It's to make us a Simcha. And a Jew Simcha is a Simcha of who we are. Not a Simcha stam of a Gashmistic Simcha that I enjoyed the food. There's nothing the Be'er Lach says over here, which is important to know, that also, this will be a difference between what the reason for Mishloach Manos is. Mishloach Manos is just to give Ava V'Reyos. Then you can send anything, even a small thing, to a rich person. It doesn't make a difference. The Be'er Lacha brings down from the Chachmas Adam There's Mechiach min HaYerushalmi. Dim shalech la'ashir davar pachos eini yaitze b'zeh yedei mishleach manos. You send a rich person who has a big suda, and you send him a little piece of meat. It's nothing, because for him, he says you're not yaitze mishleach manos. Now it depends why mishleach manos is all about.
It's multiple, right?
Yeah, if it's for the suda of him, you're not sending him anything for the suda. You're not sending him any portion. For him, it's nothing. If it's to show Ava Vareus, maybe it could be yaitze. I thought about you. Even if I say hello to you, it's thinking about you, right? So he sent him something and thought about him. But the Ma'aseh Be'alacha brings down from the Chachmas Adam.
Don't send anything to rich people.
Yeah, that's another way of doing it. Yeah.
Before you embarrass yourself.
So he says, "Ochen shar perushim lo hiskiru davar zeh." Other people don't say this. V'nochai lizohar b'zeh lechatchila. A person should be careful to be nizer in this. Now, obviously, what it means is, like I said before, nochai lizohar b'zeh lechatchila means if you're sending one mishloach manos and that one is to a rich person, you're not yaitza. You should be careful. But if you send it to a bunch of people, you were yaitza mishloach manos already. To be a lachas nochai lizohar b'zeh, you have to worry about it. The Nachal Azar B'zeh is that if you only have one Mishloach Manos, sending it to a big Gevir, a Aisher, person who has a lot of money, make sure it's something that he'll appreciate. It's something that's he'll use for a Suda. If you send them a small thing, it's nothing. But the Paisuk do bring from here, and they say that even if a person is not an Aisher, he's not a rich person, still you have to send something which is a Davar Chashav. I mean, they send somebody a little cookie, it's not a Davar Chashav. It's not called, it's not a money for a Suda. It has to be a portion for a Suda. Now, what does it mean a portion for a Suda? So the place can use a lashon that's very commonly found in Hilchas Taruvas. It has to be a chaticha harayu lehiskabed. Chaticha harayu lehiskabed means a portion that you would give to a guest when it comes to your house. Now, if a guest comes to your house and give him a little cookie, it's not a money. It doesn't go into the category of a money, of a portion for Mishleach Manos. So at least one Mishleach Manos, you should use the Bi'ar Lachas Chumrah, with the Chai Adam, send a portion that you would give to a guest. A chicken, a challah is definitely a Davar Chashav, something, a money, that the person will use it as a portion for his Suda. A little cookie and a jelly bean is not something that's called a Davar Chashav for a Suda.
Whether the person actually uses it for a Suda, it doesn't come into play here, though, right?
It doesn't make a difference because it has to be a money. Right. A money means a portion.
Let's say you gave it to only one person,
yeah.
Right? And you put it as a store, and then something happened to that person.
No, let's make a difference.
Something like that, something happened.
No, let's make a difference. If you give somebody Mishleach Manos for a Suda, and he doesn't use it for a Suda, then for sure you yaitz. For sure you yaitz. Yeah. Everybody.
As long as it was appropriate.
Right. As long as it's appropriate, he doesn't have to use it.
He doesn't have to.
So that means if everybody brought in 25 pieces of challah and yours gets to the garbage, is okay?
Doesn't make a difference. As long as you gave it to him, it's fine. Doesn't make a difference.
It's a shiloh if he's allergic to it. Let's say it's nuts.
It's not not really a shiloh.
Is the answer good?
It's fine.
Yeah?
It's fine. If he's allergic to it, he can't eat it. It doesn't make a difference. It's still called a mana. And if I don't like it, someone says a food that I don't like, I'm not going to eat it.
Or you generally just don't eat.
Yeah.
He sends you white bread, you eat whole wheat bread.
Right.
Something like that.
It doesn't make a difference. It's called a mana. You send him a mana. It doesn't have to be a mana that person could eat. Right? A guy's on a diet, right? He's not eating anything.
Yeah.
Right? It's still called Mishleach Manos because it's something that he could eat. If he doesn't get it, it's something else. But if he gets it and he doesn't use it, you definitely yaitzer, you are Mishleach Manos.